everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the vlog. Yes, today is that episode, first drive. I mean, all we have to do is put the wheels on the car, sort out the front bumper. What could possibly go wrong? Well, something does go wrong. Let's see what happens in this episode. Okay, so we're back on the TTS, hopefully for the last time in the garage. We're going to get her moving today, that's the plan. First of all, we've got to fit the door latch, or the bonnet latch. Now, on the last episode, we couldn't find the bonnet catch. Well, good news, I actually managed to find it, as well as the missing wheel nuts. They were in a box that were in my other office, so that's the reason why we couldn't find them in here. But we now have all the wheel nuts included. More importantly, the locking wheel nuts. That's the thing that I was most worried about. So we've got our latch, and we've got everything that we need to go now. So we now need to connect it up. In fact, I need to remember how to connect this up, because I remember it goes in this way, like this, but that's about it. So this goes in like this, and then I need to figure out how this catch here goes on, because this is slightly different to what the normal catch is. I can't remember whether it goes in between. Anyway, we'll figure this out. But the biggest issue that I have at the moment is, and I'll show you, so the handbrake at the moment in the car is down. All right, so the handbrake is definitely down. Let me just confirm that. So handbrake up, handbrake down, right down. Okay, and with the handbrake down, wheel spins, or at least that wheel spins. However, on this side here, wheel is stuck. Well and truly stuck. So we need to take off this wheel here and see what's going on with this caliper. If that's seized, then we'll need to replace that, but hopefully a couple of taps and a hammer and she should come loose again, hopefully. So I think what we'll do is we'll start off with the bonnet latch. So we'll take off the bonnet, or the front bumper. I kept referring to this last week, and I know some of you would have probably picked me up at this as the wing or something else, but anyway, it is the front bumper. Let's take that off, and then we will then sort out this latch. Right, lesson 101, how to mount one of these. Now, you'd think putting this in would be really simple, but there are no tutorials for the TT Mark II on how to actually put this in. And it's not as simple as you think it is, because normally you've got this slot here. This is where the cable normally goes into, and that means then that's for a left-hand drive car. So normally this cable here comes in on this side here, and then we'll go into here this way. Of course, this is coming on this side. So on the bottom here, there's a little latch just there, and we'll hook him on. You'll see what I mean. So essentially, this little latch here will hook onto, let's get this the right way now. So he will hook on like so. There you are. So he hooks on like that, and then you've got this here then hooks, basically that goes along that track. There's a little thin track there, and that keeps the cable in place. Alright, so essentially what happens, that goes on that side, and to keep the cable in place, the cable goes this side like that, and then this here clicks in like so. There's a little slot, two slots. It's a little bit awkward to try and show you and do it at the same time, but we're going to try our best here. Here we go. So that goes in like that and slots in like so. So once that slots in, well, this is supposed to be in place, but it's not. We'll do that in a second. So we'll take that off. But once that's in, that's locked in pretty much, and that ain't going nowhere. Well, if you do it properly, there you go. So that's locked in, and then you need, basically, to get it off, you need to really pull it off with one of these tools and pull down. So I'm going to do this off camera, but you kind of get the impression. So if anyone, if anyone needs to know how to do this on a TT Mark II, you can send them to this video here. So let me get this fitted and then we'll come back to you.
Moments later.
Okay, so we finally got it on. Hopefully you can see how that fits in, how that plugs into place. So now what we need to do is fit it onto our 2 bars here and get it all clipped up. We've got these clips here that underneath here that hold it into place. So we'll get all of that in and then we will then get our front bumper fitted properly. Right, air filter time. So in here we've got our MAF sensor, mass airflow, if you're wondering what that means. We've got it on this frame here which will support an aftermarket air filter. I was thinking of putting the original one in, still not made up in 2 minds whether to go down the aftermarket route or to stick at OEM. OEM does seem to sort of take away the element of boy racer, so I still might go down that route. But anyway, in the meantime, we've got our frame that's put in place. So now we're going to put our sensor in, then we put our pipe work in to connect to that main pipe coming out, and then we should be able to clear some codes on the old computer. So let's get that fitted. Right, let's see what lights we got on the dashboard. We're going to start the car up. Let's see what we got. Okay, looking good. No lights on the dash. Everything is off. Car's idling well. Let's give it a bit of a blip. Perfect. Okay, let's get that front bumper on. Actually, before we go and look at the bumper, let's see what's going on with this wheel, shall we? Because I think this is going to cause us a few little issues. Let's get this wheel off and take a look and see if we can unstick these calipers. Okay, let's give that a tap now with a hammer. See, that loosens it up because it's been sitting around for a while. Now, okay, nope, that is tighter than a tight thing. So let's just take a look. Here's a handbrake cable, and the handbrake cable is, well, that's relatively loose, that's moving, so we know that's potentially okay, but we still got no movement, none whatsoever. So she's proper tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just leverage it a little bit. We'll do this off camera, but you will see the results. But normally in this scenario, the problem tends to be that either the sliders are seized here or the piston is seized and needs to be adjusted, lubricated or checked. I mean, it's been staying around for 9 months, so it's understandable. So we'll check that out. We'll take the caliper off, we'll take a look at it, and we'll see if we have to wind the piston in, and if that fixes it, then we're good to go. If not, we may end up having to buy a new caliper. Okay, let's go and fix that.
More moments later.
Okay, so we managed to get the brakes off, as you can see. Had to use the persuader in the end to get them off, but it came off and the wheel is spinning, so we do need to clean up the brakes a wee bit, but at least the axle is spinning, which is good, and the pads are in reasonably good state. There's a little bit of meat on them, but this here looking like it's could be end game. I'm going to see if I can wind the piston in. If I can wind the piston in, I certainly can't push it, then this should be okay. But if we can't, then we're going to need to replace this caliper. And the last time I checked these calipers, they're about 136 pounds each. So let's see if we can do that, and then after we'll test that by pushing that in and out with the brake pedal to see if it goes in and out. But I'll do that off camera, unfortunately, because it's a long and tedious job. But we'll wind it in, and for you it'll be 30 seconds, for me it'll probably be more like 20 minutes. Okay, so this caliper is proper seized, so we're gonna have to replace it. I would be unhappy trying to, if that wound in okay, I would be still unhappy with it, because it shouldn't stick. It should just come in and out, and once I get to this stage, then there's no point trying to save it. It's more cost effective and safer to just replace it. And yes, I have undone the brake reservoir. I've learnt that trick to see if the piston will go in, and because often what happens is that if the piston's in, if you leave the caliper, the brake reservoir tight, it's more difficult to push the piston in, whereas if you leave the brake reservoir loose, I take the cap off, then the piston can go in and out, because there's nothing to prevent the hydraulic fluid from compressing, so it should move in. We've done that, and this thing hasn't budged. I even got my my ratchet gun out here, and this is no mean feat. This thing's quite powerful, so it's 400 newton meters of torque on that, so that should budge it, but it hasn't, so we need to replace that. So unfortunately that's going to stop us from doing our first drive, which is a real pain, because I was really looking forward to getting this out on the road today, but it is what it is. So we'll get a new one of those, get that replacing and get it sorted, because either way, with that sticking the way it is, that will fail the MOT. Even if I got it loose, there's no guarantee that it'll stay loose, so the best course of action is just to replace it. So what we'll do for now is we'll just place that here, so we're not stressing the cable. Alright, so the cable's fine, it's not being stretched in any way, and what we'll do is we'll go and stick the front bumper on. Right, so we've got the front bumper back on now and all fitted up nicely. So we just got a couple of things now that we need to do. So we just got to put these flaps in. So these are just the vanity fills up this area here where you lift the bonnet up, and these things, they literally just slide in like so. That is it, nothing more to them. That's one side. Here's the other side. Get that in place. Here we go, that's in. That's it, so that's that in place. Engine's all cleaned up, ready to go. I've cleared all the old screws that are up the top there as well. So we just got a few things that we need to do now. So we've got to fit the wheels, which we can do very simply. The bonnet now, I've got to get a new bonnet catch, so I'm not going to I'm just going to leave it on the latch for now, because I broke the other one, but that's coming on Tuesday. Okay, so yeah, we're looking good. So that brake caliper is such a pain, it really is. Oh, I tell you, It's really frustrated me, and again forced us from doing our first drive. But we'll get that. We'll get a replacement. And you'll see that in next week's episode. Then we will be taking this car for its first drive. I did have a suspicion that this was going to be a problem when I noticed that it wasn't moving that easily. So glad that we caught it now, because that would have failed the MOT. And really the quickest and easiest option, like I mentioned, is to replace it. Right, okay, so we're almost there, guys. I'm sorry this is taking so long, but we are almost there. So next week we'll get all the final bits and pieces done to the car, and then we will be should I really be saying that, because we were supposed to be doing that this week, but I do think that we will get the car driving next week now that everything's done. Okay, let's summarize what we've been able to do today. Oh, so close. We were that close. Brake calipers. And why does it always have to be in TTs? My Mark 1 convertible had exactly the same issue, where the caliper was locking up and binding. So we got to replace it, because otherwise it's going to fail the MOT on that. So we got to replace it. So I'm really sorry we didn't get first drive done today. But, and dare I say this, we'll replace the caliper next week, and we'll get first drive, and we'll get it ready for an MOT. So that is the plan for next week. So please stay tuned for that. And as soon as we can get that done and dusted, we'll be in a good place. And I'm hoping that that will be it. I mean, there'll be a couple of other videos on the car, because we got some things to do inside the vehicle, but mainly I want to put some miles on that car, and then we can sell it as soon as I feel comfortable that the car's okay. I'm really happy with the progress that we've made on the car, but it's been a long time, and I know a lot of you have been mentioning that as well. So we need to get something fresh on this channel really quickly. We've got some good stuff coming up. I won't talk about it now. Let's just roll on with those things as they come on. But in the meantime, if you are a casual viewer, and there are so many of you that are, please consider subscribing down below. Click on the bell notification so you're notified whenever we release a new video, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.